I'd like to ask you about your own grief as well, and whether your grief or how your grief might have changed over the last 3 years since he died, and if you could just reflect a little on your own personal experiences of grief. I think that would be really interesting.
So there was nothing protective about my job, even though I knew in theory an awful lot about grief. I see it every day at work. I've read a lot about it. None of that helped at all. I was still an absolute mess at times, and occasionally still am. Um, Initially, as Dad was entering the last sort of couple of months of his life, there were times when I would literally be lying on the floor, howling like a child. I was that desperate not to lose him, that sort of mad, I will do anything, I will sell my soul if I can keep him here longer. And I remember two instances of that when he died, and which was at home, and it was a beautiful death with his family all present, but it was in the middle of the night on Boxing Day, after the funeral directors had taken him away. I saw the contours of his body still in his hospital bed, and I could feel the warmth of his bed, but the warmth was fading, and I knew that once that warmth had gone, that was the final trace of him, physical trace in the house, this warmth that was literally ebbing away as through my fingertips. And I felt a kind of desperation to defy the laws of physics and keep that warmth there for as long as possible. That I was a sort of, it was a mad idea, but it was very powerful. And then another mad moment was when I saw Dad in his coffin on the morning of his funeral. And I went in thinking I'd be composed. I have seen many dead bodies before in the course of my work. And I walked in, and he was sort of dressed in his suit. He'd chosen the suit he wanted to wear, the tie he wanted to wear. And he looked a lot more like my dad than he had done in the last couple of months of his life. I walked in, and before I even realized what was happening, I had collapsed onto the floor. My knees just gave way, and I was kind of crying. The grief was so sort of animal and raw. It almost didn't sound like a human sound, and I had this mad desperation. I couldn't get close enough to him. I actually considered climbing into the coffin to hold my dad and cling to him, because physically I couldn't bear the loss of him. And afterwards, I think that was a pretty devastating thing to feel, but it was also, I'm glad I felt it. It was exactly proportional to how much I loved him at that kind of mad grief. And I think that with time ebbs away, and you end up being able to look at the picture of the person you love without immediately feeling that you're being stabbed through the heart. And I can think about Dad now with a great deal of fondness and love without the rawness, the pain. But it's incredible how even now, 3 years down the line, sometimes the tiniest thing can trigger those feelings. And I don't think there's no linear trajectory. There's no getting over it. Bam, you can be hit, and you're right back there again. So music can do it. If I hear a piece of music that Dad loved, suddenly I will be thinking of him in that raw way again. And I guess I'm glad that the pain is still there, because he's living in me, and he will always live in me. I will never not feel my father in my heart. And that's a testament to him. That's a living legacy and a testament to the man he was. And in a strange way, I take comfort from that, even if sometimes I miss him terribly.